but I chopped it in half, and so there's a little jagged line between the, I think the primary thing for students to understand about Reconstruction is I guess, and mainly because I have to teach it as a whole as Western Hemisphere and Eastern Hemisphere cultures comparisons, and so putting the United back in the United States part and actually showing those ideas that put us back together as a union, and then making those comparisons to where Western culture has come since then.
Okay, all right, and Rob?
I just had some glasses because I thought that it was important that the kids see different views and that try to make things clear for them. Also, if you're examining different things, and you can look at primary sources. And so all of those through your eyes, very visual, all these different perspectives during the Reconstruction.
Okay. And at any given point in history, there are always multiple perspectives, but that's a point where those multiple perspectives are doing some serious balance.
No, Jim.
No, Mr. I see us, Mr.
Okay, two people from this side, volunteers or else I'll call you out.
Mr. Bill show.
Any volunteers from this side? You see something that you really thought was a great visualization or that you're really proud of? So I think Casey's being nominated by
Her peers.
her peers. Is it Casey or?
Well, it was kind of a group effort.
Okay.
And, and we have one group, you can kind of interpret how you want to.
Okay.
But we have one. We have one group on top of the Play-Doh. And they're, obviously they would be in control or the majority. And then we have the other group trying to kind of find their platform. And you kind of read it however you want to. So just kind of trying to become equal, and we're still kind of struggling during our Reconstruction.
Okay. All right. Lovely. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I give this.
Okay.
The face is not black, it's pink. But it's not likely to be black because, it's just, even though Black Power in the 60s or showed, not black enough. It showed, it took on like maybe to some people a negative connotation during that time period. But I would like for my kids to understand that even though the African American people have come out of one of the most horrific, and still weren't out, but to some degree, the most horrific time period in of mankind, that during this time period, even though the gains were short-lived, they made gains. You talking about people that couldn't read and write, they were holding offices. And to me, that was a show of strength. And because at every opportunity that I can show them their strength, I like to do so.
Okay. All right. So most of your students are African American?
Yes, most definitely.
All right. That's an important fact we might come back to later. All right. So what you all just did, what you all just created, are what are called enduring understandings. That's what you just did with Play-Doh. All right. Anybody heard that term? People from year 2, not the year 1 people. People from year 2. Have you ever heard the term enduring understandings before?
Yes.
Say more about. Liz, Dee, no, not you two. What's an enduring understanding?
Year 2.
Year 2.
And have you heard anything about understanding by design? What is that? Just so you don't have to raise your hand. Just throw out what you know about understanding by design.
Essential question.
You know about, that's what you know about understanding by design? Okay, so you know that language, you know that terminology. Okay? Anybody else? What do you know about understanding by design?
Well, it's basically where you want to make sure that what the student is learning is something that is usable and the student is able to apply it to their lives, and that they can walk away and the question, so what can be answered? So what can I do with this? And so why are you teaching this? And they can carry that over into their lives.
Any other thoughts about that? Anybody ever heard of UBD? had experience with it, heard any of this terminology, enduring understanding? No? Okay. That's part of what we're going to be doing here. Part of the reason why we will be doing some focusing on UBD over the course of the next year is because the new Mississippi framework is rooted in an understanding of understanding by design. It has the expectation that teachers will be using this technique in their classrooms to deepen student knowledge about U.S. history, primarily, because the framework is about U.S. history. There are changes to the framework that relate to geography and other social studies standards. Primarily, we're here focusing on history. So it's in the framework, and some people are freaking out about that. So it's part of the reason why we're using it in this workshop. And it's one of many methods. There are many ways of teaching anything, right? And UBD is not just a history pedagogy. It's used to teach science, technology, engineering, math, language arts, whatever. But we're going to play with it a lot here. We're going to start to feel really comfortable with it because you will be expected to know how to use it. But also, it's considered a very powerful way of teaching history. So one of the first steps in understanding the design is to come up with enduring understanding. You just did that with your statutes. And you said, this is what is important for kids to know about Reconstruction. The nation was divided. We're going to put the United back into the United States. Okay. We had some people up top and some people at bottom, and that's not what democracy looks like. And so we're trying to figure out how we can create a society where people are more equal. Who was the other one back there? And yours was Rob, your statute.
Oh, it was some glasses.
Glasses, multiple perspectives. But that was a time in history when there was some serious duking it out about multiple perspectives and which one is going to win, which one's going to define who we are as a nation, which of those perspectives are we still living with today. You have a primarily African American population in your classroom. And so part of your task, part of what you perceive as your mission as a teacher is helping those kids have a sense of connection to U.S. history, right? And that understanding that brief moment of Black power 100-odd years ago is going to keep them connected. So, well, how do we lose that? And how do we get that back? And so it's going to keep them engaged with the history in a way that they might not otherwise, okay? So, enduring understanding, this is the little mini lecture part where I chat. Okay. So, usually in these books that we've given you about understanding by design, the enduring understandings can be very simple concepts, and I've put some of them up here. So groups have struggled to attain equality. That's something that you could use to describe the Reconstruction era. Or the interaction between the U.S. and global community has evolved over time. See, these are very broad statements that you can make a statue out of, okay, perhaps. To talk about why it's important. It's a so what question. Why is it important to learn about this stuff? The U.S. government impacts its citizens. So these are very, very simple sentences that represent enduring understanding. And if you go to a website on UBD and you plug in enduring understanding, that's where I got this from. Okay? These things will pop up kind of static, kind of passive, right? They don't necessarily get to, remember how advanced we just did? Okay, we talked about integrative, we talked about meaningful, we talked about active, right? Some of these could be turned into those powerful ways of teaching and learning, right? And they certainly fit the definition of an enduring understanding. I'm not so excited about those. All right. So, there's nothing wrong with those simple concepts at all, because oftentimes those simple concepts are the stepping stones to more complex concepts, right? You've heard the language before, we'll talk about it a lot more in the future. The need to scaffold. You need to start from A before you can get to Z. You need to start with 1 before you can get to 100. You need to build on the vocabulary before you can get to the whole paragraph. that talks about whatever the concept is. So there's nothing wrong with simple concepts. There's nothing wrong with enduring understandings that are simple, okay? But we don't want to stop there. We definitely don't want to stop there. And even though they can stand alone as meaningful enduring understandings about Reconstruction, the founding documents, World War II, whatever, we don't want to get stuck there. So